Welcome back, class. Woo. So, have you, you personally, have you ever been sitting there wondering, you've been playing Deltarune chapters 3 and 4, you enjoyed it, but you're not super big into everything. And then you watch someone else play it, and you see a bunch of people screaming like hyenas because they saw a chair turn into a cat.
What idiot did that?
Have you or anyone else in the audience been confused about that? Well, that's what this video is here for. So this is something that a lot of people are probably aware of, but maybe people don't know the full extent of it, which is image_friend. So friend is something that seems like it might be very important later on in the story, and it's something that I feel like most people are at least vaguely aware of. But this video, I wanted to go fully in the weeds, explain literally everything there is to know about friend in as excruciating detail as I possibly can, just to update people either who already know about friend or don't know anything about it, as sort of again, in a way, it's like other videos, like a primer for everything you need to know, so then you can go out in the world and make your own theories or just know about friend in case, you know, future chapters they show up. If you end up enjoying the video or find it informative, feel free to leave a like or comment or subscribe. We would greatly appreciate it. We always love reading the comments.
Read the comments. They're awesome.
I read them all the time.
Yeah, I read literally every single one. Again, you can see I heart like every single one. I genuinely love seeing them.
I'm going through them every day.
Genuinely, yeah. Also, if you're on mobile, use YouTube's relatively new YouTube hype feature. Again, hype in the video genuinely helps a lot, so it would very much be appreciated. And since we're already shilling, we do have a Patreon. If you want access to the full presentation of this, paying any amount of money will get you that if you feel you want to, and also higher tiers give you extra videos or helping decide in polls of, you know, what the next video will be. Again, all that sounds cool to you, feel free to, but no pressure. I guess no more dilly-dallying. You guys ready to start the image friend compendium? Everything you need to know, and maybe some stuff you don't, probably. So, to start off, I have a slide here about the Friend Master Doc by Wandy Doodles. It would not be a Mr. Brick & Co. presentation about Image Friend without talking about Wandy Doodles. Now, they are someone who is in the community who is very into all this friend nonsense, and they have compiled a big Master Doc concerning essentially everything there is to know about Image Friend. And I want to stress going into this presentation that all the information, the research, the findings, stuff I came up with is all entirely mine in this presentation. I didn't really look through this doc while I was making it. I wanted to have everything be coming from like my own brain and my own like theories and stuff like that. But the Friend Master Doc is a invaluable resource about what Friend is and all their appearances and stuff like that. So I highly suggest all of you guys to go through it and read it yourselves. And there's certain things in it that I don't bring up in my presentation, which is why I encourage you to go read it yourself. And anything, and it was also very useful during this presentation to, again, go back and look through everything and check to make sure I had all my like information straight. There's also some stuff in this presentation that I did not think of that I saw in this, and I will credit like when it shows up, when it's ideas that specifically came from the Friend Master Doc. Actually, it's funny because, again, there's a lot of stuff I was doing in this where I was like, I was going through the information and I was like, I thought I found something big that I hadn't heard anyone like talk about. I was like, oh, I feel this is awesome. I can't wait to share this. And then, what do you know, I looked through the Friend Master Doc and it had it already there. So that was kind of bummed, but you know, that's how cowboy shows go, I guess. So the first actual slide of the presentation is Friend Sightings in-game. I'm taking these off.
Can I wear them?
Sure.
Thank you.
Don't break them.
To start off, I feel like it makes sense to just go through every time we've actually seen Friend show up within the game so far. The first time that we see Friend at all is a little sprite that appears in Queen's Mansion in the underground digital roots section when you're trying to find the Neo body and enter the loaded disk and stuff. In this area, whenever you go down from the teacups and you go all the way to the side here and you sort of get closed off from the exit, if you go all the way to the left, you see this little smiling sprite with, in case you can't see it too well here, smiling sprite with you know, pink and yellow eyes here. And again, it's pink and yellow eyes. Notable because those are the colors of Spamton's eyes, but even more notable is that the colors are reversed from Spamton. So Spamton, usually the pink is over here on the left and yellow's on the right. It's swapped with this sprite, which is also called Image Friend in the files, which is why we're calling it Image Friend. Okay, but the first real notable appearance is at the very beginning of Chapter 3, which it appears during Ralsei's explanation of how Dark Worlds work, again, in this scene. So that was the first like pretty like notable appearance for just like normal people who aren't, you know, Spamton sweepstakes pilled and stuff like that. That was the first time Friend like really appeared. And then Friend also appears as an enemy during the Shadow Mantle Holder / Eram Mantle Holder fight boss. And it shows there's seemingly multiple of them. We're going to talk about that a little bit later. But we see multiple different versions of Friend here attacking the player. We're also going to get into that later. But they do show up in the final boss of the Mantle Quest. Okay, and additionally, it also appears during the Mantle Quest on the first board. I say in a room. There's actually two rooms, I think, that are like on either side of a certain door, where one of them you can see the smile of Friend, and one of them you see the eyes. So just seemingly connected to the Mantle Quest, Friend is there somewhere. And then also, friend appears in the third sanctuary in between some of the, when it's dark and you can only see the sound waves and stuff. There's an image here where it's hard to see, but in black and white you do see friend's sprite. We missed that on our first playthrough.
That's scary.
Yeah, that one's kind of crazy.
You gotta be playing the game like a telescope to see that one.
Yeah. Now the last and very notable appearance that we see like in game is that it can appear during the Bat Tap Mic minigame. So again, I don't know if you guys know this one either. So if you get, I think, a higher enough score in the Bat Tap minigame, the one that the green Pippin lets you play, some of the cats start turning into friends. And we're going to get more into why this image friend sprite appearing in the Bat Tap minigame is important. But again, this is just a baseline every time we've seen friend. So again, they went from, again, just basically a spooky face that could have potentially meant nothing to, they're making enough appearances like, okay, this is clearly something more than like a little Easter egg or something like that.
Fan-made and insignificant.
Right, just like how Des is a fan character.
No, when we first played Chapter 2, I saw it, I was like, wow, that was scary. Good thing that'll never happen again, bro.
Yeah, I know it was a big thing that people were saying that, oh, the friend sprite, it's just spammed in. It's supposed to be like a spammed in jump scare. It's not anything important. And then now it might be the final boss of Deltarune. So let's get into why some more. Okay, so before we get on to anything else, there's one important connection to friend that will be important throughout the rest of it that I want to, because this is also one of the only things we knew about friend for a little while, and it's friend and Gaster. So there are several files within the game of Deltarune that are all named in all uppercase, the same way that Gaster talks in all uppercase, and concern areas of the game that are related to him, that being the Goner Maker, the save system, music related to him, etc. And just in case you need any convincing that Gaster is connected to the Goner Maker and this stuff. So here's a slide, the very first slide of the very first presentation that we ever did. I just want to establish here. Okay. So, yeah, in the Goner Maker, it directly quotes entry 17 several times. It has the same speech patterns and capitalization as Gaster, again, talking the same way, and the same spaced out lettering, all capitals. It's called the Goner Maker. Goner is being associated with Gaster, obviously, with the Goner Kid and the Goner Clam and the Gaster followers, stuff like that. The song played during the Goner Maker is called Another Hymn, and Gaster's theme in Undertale's file is called Muse_hymn. And also the typeface value of the text here is typeface value 666, which is the value associated with text in the game. And the version of the game that is a survey program is version 0.6.6.6, which 666 is Gaster's stats in Undertale. So undeniable. I refuse to argue with anyone that Gaster is the one talking to the Goner Maker, which again goes back to here where I'm just saying that these files in the game are related to Gaster, undeniably. Now, again, these are named differently than how like how we have here, right? Muse_hymn, that's how music is labeled in the files of Undertale and Deltarune. These are a little bit different, where we see audio underscore, again, darkness or underscore story, which is how, so showing that these files, again, are seemingly related to stuff that relate to Gaster and also are titled differently to reflect that. And there are several of these files called device, most of which concerning game mechanics. Again, like device_failure, which is for the game over screen, device_logo for when the logo shows up, device_Goner Maker for the Goner Maker. So they normally only refer to game mechanics and do not include things like objects, characters, or area files, except the vessel, device_Goner. Actually, I think that might not be necessarily correct. I need to double check that. But the important one is that there are no, again, like character, object, area files that are in the device, except for device_friend. So that is a direct link that we have between Gaster and whatever device friend is. And could also imply that potentially Gaster made whatever friend is, considering all the other stuff is seemingly stuff that is related to Gaster or made by Gaster, like the vessels. And then additionally, we find friend again in the shadow like mantle holder boss fight inside the shelter, the 8-bit version of the shelter on the sword route, which the shelter in the light world is emitting a noise which, when sped up by 666%, which again 666 being Gaster's associated number, when sped up by that number, it plays the sounds from entry 17, which is obviously also related to Gaster. So these are just a few connections, but it does directly tie friend to Gaster. And
Scary.
and then also just a quick other thing to mention, friend has the same laugh sound effect as the knight, which doesn't necessarily connect directly to Gaster, but this is something important that I want to mention. And also you could say that it does have to do with Gaster, considering the knight has the stigmata, the whole hands, like Gaster does. So yeah, that's just all the connections between friend and Gaster, which again, those connections are probably going to be important going forward. Okay. So friend sightings outside of games. So this is where we got our important friend lore stuff before chapter 3 and 4, which gave us certain conclusions that we were able to get to already with the game. But I think looking through this is all important. So these are all from the Spamton sweepstakes. Now, Chi-Chi, I know you're a little bit newer to all this stuff compared to the rest of it.
Name's Greg.
Should I? Well, no, Greg's his brother. It's his twin brother.
My name is
okay.
Greg.
Do you know about the Spamton sweepstakes?
Like a little bit.
A little bit. You remember it was sweepstakes that teased stuff in chapters 3 and 4, and kind of 5 a little bit.
Was it like a fundraising thing?
Yeah. And all that stuff to do with Spamton.
Secret
Yeah.
links.
Well,
It's
you're
pretty
gonna kind of
cool.
see.
You
It's
get
like
the
super
idea.
interactive too, right?
Yeah.
there's a
Well,
bunch
it
of
was just
secrets.
it was essentially an ARG. No, actually,
That's you guys are playing like cat petters on that, right?
Yeah.
we're gonna see.
Actual cat petters.
After
So,
it was
okay.
updated.
So the first thing we're gonna look at is deltarune.com/chair. We see this chair that may or may not look familiar, and it says at the top here, what if it could? Get darker than dark. So this is obviously representing the chair at the beginning, like that Ralsei talks about, which is when Friend first shows up, and directly quoting Ralsei. And if you click,
Oh, what was the?
so so yeah, if you click on it enough time, you get the friend eyes jump scaring you, which again are specifically the friend eyes because we pointed this out. They are not like on Chi-Chi's head right now, where it's the pink then yellow. It's yellow then pink. Which was one of our ties to know that this probably has something to do with friend. And again, as I have in my little notes here, this was entirely pretty much just to foreshadow the beginning scene in chapter 3, where Ralsei does the explanation. But again, it's associated with friends. And then, okay, so now deltarune.com/catpetters.
Yeah.
So again, we're not going to read through all this stuff because we've already done all that before. So I have little summaries here. So the most important part about Holiday Girl's blog here, which is obviously Noelle. Noelle explains a game that she liked to play as a kid. This game had a breeding system that involved eggs. Those are the important things. And the game is obviously Cat Petters, which she talked about in-game as well, too.
Cool.
Now, deltarune.com/blue circle. Now, this was the text where we basically get Noelle talking about how Spamton, as an email, gave her something that gave her the peepus that shows up with Spamton. But that is mostly what it's talking about, but it does include one line of dialogue that will be important later, where she specifies talking about Cat Petters, the game. For people that don't know the game, it has a special visual style. All the pets are made of circles that get animated around. One circle will be the head, another the eyes, another the pupil, another the body, etc. So we know that Cat Petters has a sort of visual style where it's a bunch of circles overlaid on top of each other to make the cats, which is, I think, directly a reference to some other like online game. I forget the name of it, but it's a reference to something. But the visual style of Cat Petters will be important going forward as well. So on deltarune.com/egg, Noelle talks about a story about Cat Petters where she received a white egg with a message saying special, and she was unable to get rid of this egg. The only thing that the egg did was make a weird sound when she clicked on it, and the egg one day left home due to happiness. Noelle remembers that the egg had a name, but doesn't remember what it was. Now, obviously, there are some associations you could already make between this white egg and the egg that the Forgotten Man gives you in the egg rooms each chapter. Again, like it being a white egg, it also, clicking on it, only making a weird sound, which is the same thing that happens when you try and use the egg in Deltarune. But we're going to get more into those connections later. But on this deltarune.com/egg page, after in the Spamton Sweepstakes 2, which was when they added, I think, like 20 new links to the website in the lead up to 3 and 4, I think like a year or so later, this link where it says secret cats on the blog brings you to another blog post called deltarune.com/rain. Now, in deltarune.com/rain, again, by clicking on secret cats, she describes like a rainy day where she stayed home and with, I think, assumedly Catti playing Cat Petters. And she describes a game that is very similar to what we'd later find out to be Bat Tat in the game. Again, the game that the Green Pippin lets you play in the mic room. And Noelle additionally describes that one time she got a cat that ended up lowering her score. And she thinks that she knows someone else who might have seen it, but it's likely that she wouldn't get a straight answer from them, which assumedly is probably Chris, who she's talking about. And we are also given a link to the game, as Noelle says. So it's over here with Try It For Yourself. So we get sent to deltarune.com/rarecats. So we see this little dance give a cat. We click it and get points, which this is basically sort of like an abstract representation of what Bat Tat would be in the mic mini games. So this is just sort of like a microcosm of it. And again, there's certain other things you can get by playing it and stuff.
And then what game?
Okay, so
Where was that?
Cool.
open link, a new tab. So we're going to get back to this page in a little bit, but that's one of the things that you can get to through this Rare Cats page. Now I'm going to do what we in the business like to call
Cheating.
No,
Oh
no.
my god, he's hacking.
Let's set our value to like
666.
we could do that. It's not specifically this number, but whenever you get a number high enough in this game,
Ah!
Yo,
so
he scared me. Bro.
so you once again get jump scared by image underscore friend.
Why?
So let's talk about
Fuck
it.
that guy. Just keeps doing it.
Again, when getting a high enough score while playing that, again, we cheated a little bit to get it. Friend will appear resetting resetting your score and ending the game. And again, getting the angel cat also leads you down a string of websites that end up foreshadowing the chapter 4 egg room. The chain from Windows through all the other links eventually brings you back straight to it brings you to an image of the Forgotten Man tree, which then brings you to the deltarune.com/egg page where Noelle talks about the white egg, essentially confirming that the white egg Noelle is talking about is the same egg that the Forgotten Man gives to you. We're going to talk about that a little bit more later. Further connecting friend to both friend and cat petters in general to the eggs that the Forgotten Man gives you. With all the information that we got through the Spam 262 stuff, it led everybody to one conclusion, and that is friend is a cat. Now,
Sorry, the art on the right caught me off guard.
so with chapters 3 and 4, it's pretty evident just by looking at them and seeing the pointy ears that friend is a cat. But this actually was a pretty big revelation at the time of the sweepstakes pages coming out. And additional evidence that we had for that beforehand was that Spamton being the puppet/cat element, which is confirmed in the files, and he talks more about it in the Spamton Q&A that came alongside the sweepstakes. And considering Spamton's connections to friends due to having the similar color eyes, further connected friend to cats. Again, also, friend has a sort of Cheshire cat smile from Alice in Wonderland, and also, again, more connections between pink and yellow and cats with the Cyber City and stuff like that. But more importantly than friend just being a cat, is that through this new information, we know that friend is directly linked to the game cat petters, which will become incredibly important going forward talking about other things with friend. Yeah, and due to being described in the exact same way, it seems pretty evident that what Noelle and Chris saw in cat petters was likely friend, again, being a cat that lowered your score and ended the game, because as we saw in the sort of like smaller like website version of Batat, when you get friend, it crashes it, and then you lose all your points and you go back to 0. And then also, whenever you're playing the Batat game in the game, friend gives you a bunch of points, but then because you have a lot of points, it like removes all your fuel when you're playing it, and then basically makes it so you end the game. So it's described in the same way Noelle describes it in her blog post, which means that whatever it was that Noelle saw, it was probably friend. Additionally, I feel like it could be implied that friend is specifically a cat that hatched from the white egg that Noelle was given in cat petters, assumedly given to Noelle by the Forgotten Man /Gaster / all that fun stuff, which is mostly conjecture on my part. But I feel like it kind of lines up with the rest of the information, so we know the white egg connects to all the other cat petter stuff. I think it makes sense that, again, the white egg hatches, and that's what friend is. Okay, so that is friend is a cat. Now, this is another important detail about friend that we need to talk about. Is friend the tail of hell? So let's briefly, well, not very briefly, we're going to get into talk about the tail of hell. So across chapter 4, there have been several allusions to something called the tail of hell. We see it in this prophecy panel. We see they'll see the tail of hell take crawl, and we see this image. And also, we get these organic enemies, which say the tail which must not be followed, which again follows this. And then also, in the chapter 4 egg room, we find another organic saying a line of dialogue called "Pointed the lost, the where the." It was a bunch of text that is mismatched, like rearranged in a way where if you rearrange all the letters, we get this phrase: "Lost where the force would grow, the children followed the pointed tail, the poor children." So again, basically, it seems that there is something in the prophecy talking about the tail of hell, which is a pointed tail that the children who are lost followed, and the poor children. We can see in the image of the tail of hell we get in the prophecy panel, it is shown to be made of a bunch of circles, which is similar to how Noelle describes how the cats in cat petters looked, which is the first kind of connection we have between friend and the tail of hell. And also notable is that an image unused for the tail of hell in the files depicted as this, which again has a point to it, which again doesn't really connect to friend, but it's important mentions that, okay, the tail of hell is probably the pointed tail that the organics are talking about. And again, the organics, which are pink and yellow enemies, are the ones that reference the tail that must not be followed. And again, pink and yellow. Yeah, so it's pink and yellow being associated with friend. talking about the Tale of Hell, another association.
Definitely a
I'll find it.
SpongeBob reference.
For sure.
Smiling friends, stupid.
It's like when they were like wrestling and then their like underwear comes out.
Yellow, pink. Yeah.
You know, these are white when I bought them.
That's fucking nasty, dude.
Wait,
You do.
copies are monochrome.
Unless you piss on them.
That's Patrick
This
colored it in with his care.
Holy shit.
That's why Chris is yellow.
Oh my
This is
God.
crazy.
Gaster was like, I gotta piss. Oh shit, he pissed in a vessel.
That's the worst theory.
Piss theory.
We had piss and shit theory. This is just piss theory.
Yeah.
Chichi, do you know about piss and shit theory?
That's real.
See, piss and shit theory was one of the only theories in the chapter 1 and 2 era that was confirmed to be true in chapters 3 and 4, which is basically
What?
so basically
No, it's piss and shit.
piss and shit theory. Brief intermission for friends to talk. So basically, piss and shit theory. So now piss theory being that that Chris is a vessel that was pissed on, which is why they're yellow. But also, what does that imply about Frisk then? Because Frisk is also yellow.
Chris is yellow.
I guess they're just like that. Okay, we're
Back
on.
to the actual stuff.
This is some real shit.
No, it's piss. That's what.
Okay, so again, like I was saying,
Have you been in chapter 1 in Deltarune and you talk to Sans and he mentions Papyrus?
Yeah, he's
Well,
like,
okay.
my brother's coming soon or something.
he does. He
Right?
doesn't mention Papyrus. He mentions that he has a brother that he wants you to hang out with.
I was gonna say dirty brother. I was thinking about dirty brother. Like, look.
And why is the brother dirty? You think?
Holy shit!
He's shit all over himself.
Anyway, the Tale of Hell could potentially allude to Gaster. Again, Hell obviously being related to the devil, and Gaster is associated with the number 666, which is the devil's number. I forget to specify here, but in turn, this does relate Friend to the Tale of Hell due to Friend being related to Gaster. Going back to the speech that Organic gives to you here in the egg room, we have Lost, December Lost Girl Holiday, where the forest would grow, which could be the bunker, since there's an, sort of an outcropping of where there's no longer trees around where the pathway to the bunker and the bunker. So where the forest would grow could be referencing the shelter. Sorry, I need to say its real name. The children, Des and likely Chris, since it seems like Chris knows what happened to Des, and also potentially Noelle and Asriel, since we know that they all explored the forest together as kids. So those are the children, followed the pointed tail. So something lured the poor children to the bunker, and since we know Friend is in the bunker, given the Mantle Quest 8-bit version of it showing that he's in there, it tracks that what lured them to the bunker could be Friend. Also, the dialogue who gives this whole speech, again, is pink and yellow. Now, this is an extension of Is Friend the Tale of Hell? What is Green Pippin yapping about? So this was this is something that we were given as a sneak peek for Chapter 5 in the recent newsletter, where the mics have this whole little dynamic where Pippin is drinking a green drink, and he's mad about it because Jongler over here, I'm using their minigame mini names, gives him the green drink and says, "Oh, you look green. Or no, you are green, so it makes sense that you would like a green drink." And then Batat says, you think that just because something looks cool, that makes it correct? Now, since the mics are seemingly commentary about like Deltarune theory culture, like in general, for a while I feared that there might have not been enough evidence to support Friend being the tail, considering how widely believed it is. That there might not be enough information to confirm it. Like what Pippin is referring to is the idea that Friend is the Tale of Hell, which is because, and the whole, just because it looks cool, that makes it correct, is because there was a lot of art of just, basically just attaching the Friend, the Tale of Hell to Friend, or just like, this art's really cool. What's up?
That's not real?
This is not real.
Oh.
It's just kind of what everybody assumed. Well, okay, besides the tail part, that's real. Yeah,
That's
we
not
never
real.
see the tail attached to Friend.
Wow.
So I was thinking that what Pippin is referring to here, or Green Pippin, I'm gonna just keep calling him Batat because I like that name for him. Is that because there's all this different art of just attaching a Tale of Hell to Friend, that is referring to just because it looks cool doesn't mean it's correct. Because objectively, it looks really cool. However, I made a connection that makes me more confident in the idea that Friend definitely is the Tale of Hell. And again, as per the Spatula Sweepstakes, there is a direct link between the White Egg and Cat Pedders. And Cat Pedders is the game which leads you to the Chapter 4 Egg Room tease. And at the Chapter 4 Egg Room is where we find out about the pointed tail, where we get information about that. Here, I have our video here. Shut up, man. Okay, so again, remember, the Batat mini game brings you to Windows, which is the Aren't You Forgetting Something? And then eventually one of the windows brings you to this tree. Boom. Tree brings you, when you click it enough, another set of windows. And then the Windows page brings you to the Poor Children page, which, again, Poor Children is something used in the description of the pointed tail. Oh yeah, and then you can draw with little white squares here, which again you could interpret as eggs since they're like little white. When you draw enough of these little white circles, it brings you to the Forgotten Man tree, and then that page brings you to the egg page. So that is the connection there. So this is the direct link that I feel like pretty much confirms there's some connection to Friend and the pointed tail, which kind of eliminates the whole it just looking cool, which is why people believe it. Because again, I think the thing is I feel like everyone just kind of like there's like what if the pointed tail is Friend, and everyone's just kind of like. Yeah, that makes sense, without there being enough like strong evidence. So, Cat Pedders directly connects to the Friend and the White Egg through the Noel pages. That's where we hear about that. And Cat Pedders connects to the Windows, the /Windows page, which is essentially Chapter 4 Egg Room teaser. And the Chapter 4 Egg Room is directly connected to the Pointed Tail, which does give a direct link between Friend through the Cat Pedder stuff to the Tale of Hell. So yeah, that is, I think, the most like strong link that those two have. And last minute mention I want to say for the Tale of Hell is that it might be important that in the room, after you get through the whole like little like climbing game that took us like 10 years to play through, after you see the prophecy panel of the Tale of Hell, you get the princess ribbon. Now, I don't really know how to place this just yet. I think it might have something to do with, again, like the twin ribbons that Noel says is nostalgic. So maybe it has something to do with Des, or maybe something to do with Noel in the past. That's my best guess, but I feel like that's another important thing because this is literally an item we get right in front of the Tale of Hell. Okay, let's talk about Is Friend Mike. So brief summary, Spampton had someone who he would often talk to on the phone that helped him become a big shot, before mysteriously vanishing and leaving nothing but garbage noise on the receiver. Due to the garbage noise being the same way that when you use a phone in the dark world, it's described as garbage noise, which is the entry 17 sounds. Many believe Spampton's benefactor here to be Gaster himself, but it seems more likely that Gaster sort of cut in at the end of his Spampton's phone call with his benefactors and drove him crazy there, and that it was someone else who was originally the caller. And that caller potentially being the Mike that Spampton refers to. And then additionally, many believe Mike to be Friend himself. Now, just real quick refresher on Mike. Boom, another slide from our very first presentation. So Mike is mentioned by Spampton several times in Chapter 2 and is assumedly his friend. In the shop dialogue, where Spampton talks about friends, we're going to get into that. When you ask him about that, he says that we're already friends. We don't need anyone. We don't need Mike. And he goes, Mike, and he gets all sad. And then also, Mike is mentioned after defeating Spampton with violence, where he says, are you getting all this, Mike? I'm finally going to be a big shot. And then also additional information that we got after Chapter 3 and 4. Addendum, Mike also seems to be involved in some way with TV World due to Tenna's mentions of him. And additionally, Spampton claims that everybody, Tenna more explicitly, will pay except Mike in the Spampton sweepstakes. So those are pretty much all the mentions of Mike themselves in Deltarune and outside of Deltarune, which, again, many believe that Mike is the person Spampton was talking to on the phone. Now, I am aware that the existence of like the Mike trio in Chapter 4 does kind of seem to lampshade Mike a little bit, being anything significant at all. But just roll with me here and look at it as is Friend Spampton's caller/benefactor, which is maybe an easier sell than that specifically being Mike. But all that being out of the way, yeah, he like is for sure. Mike is definitely Friend. We're gonna get into it. In the Z rank room, which you can only get by getting the Z rank, you would have never guessed, which we can assume is a room Spampton used in TV World due to having the exact same landline phone that Spampton has. Also, the poster on the wall is described as a potential collaboration between two stars, assumingly being Tenna and Spampton. We can see that in this room, we have the exact same poster that is shrouded in darkness as in the room where we see Friend for the first time. It uses, I think it's a little stretched out here because just the image is stretched out, but the posters in Spampton's room in TV World, again, right next to the phone that Spampton used to talk to people, are the exact same posters that are right around when we get our first showing of Friend. So I think that is a pretty important connection between specifically Friend and Spampton's benefactor. So Spampton wears pink and yellow glasses, which despite initially seeming to be him copying Swatch, because Swatch has, I think, like red and orange glasses, or it might be red and yellow glasses, the colors match Friend's eye colors. The benefactor likely giving Spampton these glasses / telling him to wear them as advice to get big, as Spamton says, which is an idea that is also supported by something pointed out in the Friend Master Doc, that being that the deal makers, which are, again, what Chi-Chi's wearing right there, which are essentially Spamton's glasses that you get after beating him, do increase money gained. So it would make sense that Spamton starts wearing the deal makers after his benefactor tells him to, because it will help him gain money and wealth and all that, which would make sense if the benefactor told him to wear these glasses, why the colors would be the same as Friend, if Friend is the benefactor. Additionally, Friend is dropping healing items in the Shadow Mantle Holder boss fight, as well as the description for an item called Smile that you can get in the back room. This item has the description, always at your humble service, which again, the smile is sort of connecting to a Friend being just like this giant, big, like Cheshire Cat smile. Lend credence to the idea that Friend has some sort of like helper role that they would have as Spamton's benefactor, which also tracks with the sort of Eastern idea of a cat representing like luck and stuff like that. And then also an unused attack. I think I said this was during Spamton's boss fight. I think it might actually be Birdley's boss fight. There's an image called Lucky Barricade, which is it's just Friend, which again associates Friend with this idea of luck and wealth and bringing help to someone. Once again, these are not my findings, but ones found in the Master Doc. Now, again, like we mentioned before, Spamton first brings up Mike when talking about friends, which again, we have some connections between the Friend and the benefactor. This is a connection between Friend and Mike. I think that is not like the biggest thing, but the fact that we ask about friends and we talk about Mike, considering this is called Friend, I think it's fairly notable. And Cat and Cat Petter's iconography, as well as the colors pink and yellow, are all over the Mike room and the Mike fight itself. Again, you literally play a Cat Petter's mini games in the Mike room. And Friend literally shows up in these mini games, like during the Bat Tap mini game. And again, just like I think some of these images are also from the Friend Master Doc. There's just cats and cats with pink and yellow eyes, and the colors pink and yellow all over the Mike room.
This doesn't mean anything.
it couldn't possibly mean anything. Again, and Pluie even does the Cat Petters dance.
I didn't realize
the dance that the cats do in Cat Petters.
Yeah, until side by side, I didn't realize.
Now, I think you could say, oh, all these references towards pink and yellow and cat is just reference to the ideas, the theory that Mike is a cat. But if this is all just reference to Mike is a cat theory, again, repped by Pluie here, why is there all these references to just one of the three Mikes? Like, there's not nearly as many references to, again, like the idea that Mike is a cowboy or Mike is, there's some sort of Mike is a Mike. Why is such a big focus about this connection between pink and yellow and cats to, like, Mike in this Mike fight? And also, I think the biggest piece of evidence that I found that I'm like, okay, like, come on. You know how you have to put a code word, or no, like a code to get into the Mike room, right? The password is 6453, which are the numbers that you would put onto a phone if you were typing out the word Mike. So you are getting on a phone as if you were, calling someone, typing in the numbers that would spell Mike. I think just the connection between, again, calling someone, like physically having like a phone, which is something we know about Spamton's benefactor, and just the name Mike, I think that's pretty telling. Now, regardless of whether or not Spamton's benefactor is Mike, which I don't really see a reason why it wouldn't be, Friend is definitely the person who's talking to Spamton on the phone. That is something that I feel like Friend is absolutely Spamton's benefactor, whether or not Friend is Mike itself. I think Friend is Mike. I think that makes the most sense. But no matter what, Friend is the one talking to Spamton on the phone. But I think there's one detail about Friend is Mike that I think is worth pointing out, that if Friend is Mike, does it really make sense that before the Mike trio stepped in doing what assumably Friend would have been doing, does it really track that Friend would be the one running behind the scenes in the TV world? That seems to be what's implied by the way Tenna talks about Mike. I do have a few ideas about this, though, which I feel like makes sense. Where it's like, maybe the reason Tenna calls out for Mike isn't because he ever actually did any of that for Tenna, and it's rather him sort of mimicking Spamton, because even though he was never told Spamton's secret to becoming a big shot, which Spamton told Tenna he would say, but never got to because he heard the garbage noise, went Gaster crazy or whatever. Tenna may have heard Spamton talking to a Mike or heard him referring to Mike, and so he's essentially trying to mimic Spamton's success by referring to like a Mike in the same way Spamton did. So it's not that a Mike ever was actually controlling TV World, it's that Tenna is replicating Spamton. Does real Mike mean anything, being the Mike that shows up here at the end of the Mike room? I don't know. I think my best guess is that this is a joke by it being real Mike. It's just a real microphone and that it doesn't have significance. Oh, and then these are a few last minute pieces of evidence that I looked for that I couldn't fit into the other slides that are also pretty big indications towards Mike being Friend. Being when you ask Batat about, I think when you talk to him when he has the high score, he goes, what? Oh no, when Cat Mike Pluey has the highest score. So what? Cat Mike has the highest score? What's wrong with you? Making people think Mike is a cat? I swear, you people see pink and yellow and think, oh, a friend. I remember your genocides. Being a friend doesn't make you them yours. Those teeth, they bite.
What is this guy talking about?
I don't know. Batat's always yapping about something, but I think, again, talking about like pink and yellow and oh, a friend, Mike is a cat, the bite being referring to, also
The
those,
bite of 87.
yeah, the bite of 87, those teeth they bite being, because friend's going to bite off Chris's hand. And then I think one of the other bigger evidences for the idea that Mike is friend is that the whole conceit of doing the cat petters mini games at the end is they say, okay, see, the real Mike would be the strongest, right? The one who you get the most points against has got to be the real Mike. Now, in the Batat minigame, when you are playing against the mics, or when you're playing Batat, whenever the image friend shows up, again, they increase your score dramatically. They have the highest score multiplier, and then immediately end the game. Which means that after you get the friend, the score would be the highest on this game. So whoever's the real Mike is the one that gets you the highest score, and then friend's the one who gives you the highest score. Which means that friend might be the real Mike. And
No, I don't see it.
you don't see it?
No.
See it? You don't think friend is Mike?
No, I don't think so.
Why don't you think so?
I think it might be Papyrus.
No, but Pyrus is already the knight. But yeah, what do you guys think? You think Mike is friend?
It's plausible.
I think, like, legitimately, if Mike wasn't friend, I think I would ask Toby Fox why. Why isn't he
Who the
friend?
hell is it then?
Yeah.
So you think he's trying to mislead us a bit with these guys?
Not mislead, but I think it's not mislead because again, a lot of evidence for friend is Mike is given in the Mike rooms.
It's just to lead.
Yeah, I think it's also just really funny to me again because it seems like Green Pippin is like the one who's like really into figuring out who Mike is. So I imagine like again if we ever find like let's say we were able to like confirm like that friend is a cat, right, and friend is Mike, he must be so annoyed that it's like, wow, Pluey was right and I wasn't,
I think it would be funny if Green Pippin was like, all right, so maybe you guys were onto something.
Okay, something did happen.
There was the one slide before where it was like you think like Gaster like may like cut in at the end of the call, and I just pictured like this funny scenario where it's just like Mike like caller is like giving him all these like tips like you're gonna be a big shot, and then just like it's just like Gaster's like cat, and he's like, oh shit, my fault, my cat picked up the phone. It's kind of like a Madagascar situation where like how like when they talk like the normal humans just hear like animal noises.
Yeah.
Like he's actually just being like, oh my bad, like my cat has been on the phone, and he just hears the garbage noise and makes him crazy.
You might be onto something. All right, so that is it for Is Friend Mike. Now, let's talk about pink and yellow and friend. Now, this is something we've touched on a lot so far, is the association between the colors pink and yellow and friend. Again, and these two colors have repeatedly shown up in several places throughout the game. Again, most importantly is friend's eyes, as we can assume that pink and yellow probably originates from friend and then it kind of flows throughout like everything else. And then also, obviously, Spamton's pink and yellow eyes, and also the color of the Neo robot is also pink and yellow. Again, Pluey Cat Mike and several other Mike adjacent things are also covered in pink and yellow. The whole Mike room has pink and yellow. The games have pink and yellow in it. And so again, like several other Mike adjacent things. And again, it seems that these may tie back to friend in some way, or at the very least, the colors seem tied directly to him. Another important inclusion of pink and yellow is the odd controller, which you are given on the sword route. It is described to have pink and yellow buttons. Again, friend appearing several times on the sword route. And then some organics in Chapter 5, again, one even mentions the pointed tail specifically, as well as one of the pink and yellow organics mentioning hyperlink block specifically. Both of them are pink and yellow, or all those organics are pink and yellow. And another one that I remember finding this, and I was thinking, huh, that's interesting, is that Ralsei and Susie have pink and yellow eyes respectively. Again, when we see Ralsei take off his glasses in Chapter 2, or Susie takes glasses, we see that he has pink eyes, and then Susie has yellow eyes. And also, Susie's Dark World color scheme, just in general, is pink and yellow. And also, Asgore... No, surely. It was an accident. It was
It was an accident.
Yeah. Toby Fox accidentally just made everything pink and yellow because he thought it looked cool.
No, he did mean the pink and yellow to be like significant, but when he made Susie's color palette, he didn't actually mean to make her pink and yellow, and so it's just like her pink and yellow is just unrelated to anything.
True, for sure. And then also, another totally accident by Toby Fox is that Asgore is also pink and yellow, alongside, I remember there's something, I think we were playing through, we were doing something, or I think we were doing the chapter 5 video, and then we were looking at Flower King, and then in that moment I was just like,
Yeah,
wait a
like,
second.
guys, what color is his shop?
Yeah, his color is just, it's entirely yellow and pink, is alongside Asgore's color scheme itself. As well, the Dark World in Chapter 5, which is almost guaranteed to involve Asgore for several reasons, again, watch our Chapter 5 video if you want to know specifically, is described as the field of pink and gold, which, again, pink and gold, pink and yellow. So we have all these associations between Asgore and pink and yellow. And also, Gerson has yellow eyes and pink hair. Again, the yellow and pink literally right next to each other here. So another example of this pink and yellow, like, through line, like, color scheme. And so I think considering all these different aspects of the game involve the color pink and yellow between characters, again, items, again, stuff relating to friend, it tracks that pink and yellow seem to represent something. And if it's anything, my guess is that pink and yellow represent freedom. Now, I'm going to get more into why later. This is a pretty widely accepted idea, though there are some other ideas that I think also are interesting, but I'm going to get why I personally think it's freedom. So most of these characters either represent the concept of freedom or are struggling to get it. Again, like Asgore and like Spamton obviously trying to get freedom. You know, Susie representing like freedom of like, again, like breaking away from the prophecy. Again, Ralsei, again, like not having that sort of like freedom of having like a specific design role, stuff like that. Again, Gerson encouraging like Susie to make their own freedom. We're going to get into the Odd Controller. So all these characters seem to have a sort of through line of freedom. And again, Ram even states directly that freedom is just a thing for big shots, which is, again, one of the most fan-made line of dialogues I've ever heard. Like, Penumbra Phantasm, the world revolving, like all that.
Really, just when he says big shot, just like the lens flare, like pink and yellow.
Yeah, human.
Jevil.
I remember. Yeah, well, Jevil's interesting because Jevil represents freedom a lot, but he doesn't have pink and yellow. But actually, an interesting thing about Jevil is, again, he is not pink and yellow. Jevil is green and purple, which when the friend is hit in the mantle holder fight, his eyes turn from yellow and pink to green and purple. It's a little hard to see here, which are also represented all around friend here in this. So which means, so while Spamton doesn't directly connect to yellow and pink, he does connect to colors of friend in some way.
If Jevil's locked up, is he like the opposite of freedom then?
Again, Jevil could represent, again, the inverse of freedom in the colors. But the thing is, Jevil thinks that he is free because he's saying that everyone else is freedom. So he's kind of he has a warped view on it, which maybe is why he doesn't have the exact colors. But again, the thing is, I don't know how I feel about it because Spamton is explicitly not free, but he's trying to get it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that is an interesting observation, though. But again, Ram specifically says that freedom is just a thing for big shots, which again is obviously referring to Spamton. And Spamton is the biggest representation of pink and yellow in the game. And also, Ram says that explicitly what Chris is doing on the sword route, what they're trying to get, is that they want freedom. Yeah, freedom, that's what you want, chum, freedom. So Ram believes that he's giving Chris freedom by letting them play the backstage minigames, the Mantle Quest, and a game that they can only play with the pink and yellow controller. So again, this is the key to getting freedom in this way that Ram thinks that they're giving is through something pink and yellow. Again, compounding on this idea of pink and yellow representing freedom in a way. And again, a controller itself also representing freedom in the idea of like having control and the freedom to do what you want. Again, literally controlling something, having that freedom. And also, the color scheme relates back to the secret bosses / the shadow crystal holders, and the overarching theme seemingly is freedom with those. Again, with like Spamton and assumingly Asgore being associated with pink and yellow and him having the black shard and stuff like that. And also just the idea of the secret bosses all having the freedom motif. Again, that's also still a fan-made idea, but it seems like the through line of the quest to get the shadow crystals seems to represent the idea of freedom, especially with everything that Rand is saying, which it also makes sense that pink and yellow are a through line with the secret bosses as well. So I think that, again, adds another idea to freedom. Also, another thing I want to mention before we continue more on the idea of pink and yellow representing freedom is that also another idea I've heard, which is on the Friend Master Doc, is that pink and yellow represent love and value. Again, pink being love and yellow being value. And I would suggest looking through the Master Doc to get more information on that. But there's stuff like, oh, we have the two Spamton, like for the Spamton sweepstakes, we have the Spamton Love Network and the Spamton Value Network. Again, the one for the sweepstakes and one for Valentine's Day. And also, again, representing yellow with money, value, and pink, again, love, stuff like that. Again, I didn't want to get into all that here. But yeah, again, I think that is a valid interpretation. It's just not the one that I personally subscribe to, but I heavily suggest looking through the Friend Master Doc. But there's one other representation of pink and yellow representing freedom that I could think of, and that's in Undertale. So this one is kind of crazy. So, y'all ever heard of Undertale?
No.
So, in Undertale, when an enemy is able to be spared, their name turns yellow whenever you can spare them. Now, however, there is a frogget in the ruins that allows you to remove this feature. And then upon talking to him again, it allows you to bring it back. Only he says, oh, everybody already threw out their yellow names, but they might have some other ones in their closet, which are the pink names instead of yellow. So again, the two spare colors that we have in Undertale are yellow and pink. So this is these are these colors showing up together in this way all the way back in Undertale.
You already know Toby was like, when he put those colors specifically, he was like,
Now,
I don't know this like at all.
You didn't know, yeah. So basically, you talk to him, and he's like, "Surely you know about yellow names." And he's like, "No more yellow names." Like, oh, I guess you don't want it. And it makes
no more yellow names.
it's basically almost like a hard mode because it makes
Yeah,
it so
you
you
don't
don't
know.
know when an enemy is able to be spared. But then when you talk to it again, you have like one other opportunity to do it. But then you have pink name. And again, this is something that stays with you through the entire game. Like from the beginning of the game when you could change it all the way up until like all the final bosses. Again, like if you do this on a genocide run, you can get to Sans, and Sans is a pink name. And actually, just to make sure that this doesn't stop on a genocide route, I actually tested this because I couldn't find any information, like confirmation that this works on all routes anywhere online. So I booted up like Undertale on the PS5 on a guest account, so the world got erased right afterwards. So my bad deeds went unpunished, and I played through a genocide route in the ruins, got all the way up to I think like Toriel, and then Toriel's name was pink, so it doesn't change on the genocide route. So again, this is a choice that after you do it, it changes for the rest of the game, and it's just this little small dialogue that again, someone like Josh didn't even know about. Again, you can even see here that there's a pile of yellow names in the trash here. Yeah. Now, this is my kind of conclusion to this idea where it's like, okay, this is the game literally showing you that your choices do matter. And in the way where Deltarune's like, oh, your choices don't matter. Whereas this one random dialogue lets you change something for the entire rest of the game, which basically, this choice represents the freedom to make choices in and of itself. And that very representation of your freedom to make choices involves the color pink and yellow. Meaning that pink and yellow representing freedom is something that Toby Fox built up literally since Undertale. And I forgot to remove the last part of this. That was part of my notes.
I need to kill myself.
What's it called? Is this intentional? Is this intentional? Literally, who cares?
No,
Because like I think this could probably not be intentional, but I just find this idea too interesting that, again, literally the colors pink and yellow all the way back then is literally representing your freedom to make choices.
In a fucking trash heap too. It just happens to be there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like, I think this is almost why I'm more partial to it representing freedom, because I think there's other things it could represent, but like, again, I just think this whole Undertale connection is too fun to give up. So we're still not off on this color stuff because we have
Green theory.
no, green theory is next video. The friend eye color discrepancy. Again, we're talking about literally everything that might be important here.
It's even in the fucking slide.
that's why I said. So friends' eye colors have been pretty consistently yellow and pale pink every time we see them. Except I'm lying; it actually isn't that consistent. Considering, see that the pink eye has a more vibrant, almost purplish color in the / Rare Cats appearance, as well as the Bat-Tat minigame, which Rare Cats is seemingly a representation of in the first place. So we know that in the Bat-Tat minigame, for some reason, Friend has a sort of darker, more vibrant purplish eye instead of the pale pink one. Now, I think that the fact that this seems to be sort of internally consistent, being that it stays normal eye color in every single other appearance except in Bat-Tat and a recreation of it exclusively, makes me feel like this change in color is purposeful. Like it's not just like an accident, you know?
Yeah.
There's some intention supposed to be drawn by the fact that it's this color everywhere except for the Bat-Tat minigame.
They got a pink eye.
They already have pink eye and yellow eye. Pinker eye.
That's just like pissing on people.
Pink-
bro.
pinker than
Yes,
you.
this is from he's just pissing on everybody.
Yeah.
I
Come here.
I don't like how consistent piss has been in this presentation so far.
I like
Well,
your
there's too
pinker
much
than
yellow.
pink joke. That was better.
Thank you. I thought that was better too.
That was better.
I said pinker yet pinker. I said pink. So yeah, I think it is purposeful. That purpose I'm unsure of and actively scared by, because why? What is the purpose here? Now, my only guess is as follows. If Friend is the tail that lured Des to the bunker, also I guess I didn't say this specifically, but again, I think it's like implied that whatever happened to Des was because Des followed the pointed tail, which is Friend, into the bunker, and she got gastered or whatever. If Friend is that tail, that implies that it can enter the light world. Which would then stand to reason that, like most other characters, they have different designs between the light and the dark world. Now, notably, I haven't even got to the big point yet.
Well, I'm gonna have to do it again.
So, notably, all the Dark World colors get more vibrant and brighter when entering a Dark World. Again, we can see here again, like their colors get a lot, more vibrant and bright. Like I said, so maybe the vibrant purple is friend's eye color in a Dark World, and that the pink is friend in a Light World. Since Bat-Tat is technically played in a Dark World, like we played at
Slick.
what?
Brother.
I think there is holes that you could poke in this, but that's just kind of my best guess because I can't think of any reason why to have this internal inconsistency here. And again, I think the colors do get more vibrant. I think that it's as best of a conclusion as I can think of. I think if you can think of anything in the comments, you have a reason why there's this discrepancy. Please let me know because I'm very curious. Movie magic, baby.
Oh yeah, you can
It's
just
really,
read
really
something.
sour.
Hey, wait. What color is your thing there?
Hold audience at home.
Wait, and then look at that color.
Yeah.
Maybe friend is something that existed in the Cat Pedders game, and then image friend is like
The guy.
is maybe it's a copy, and that's why the colors are more dull because copies are monochrome.
Yeah, no, I think it's definitely one of those things. And like, let's say Mike is a friend and all that. Maybe it's just like, fuck it, let's just do this, and they're gonna like,
There's a friend army.
yeah, they're like, fuck it, let's just do friend, and
It's
then
like the terracotta soldiers in like China. Like,
Yeah, that's also another thing where I feel like we're not going to really get to in this presentation. Was like, why is there multiple friends? Like we see it in the Bat-Tat game and also in the ERAM fight, and some people call it Aram, but I feel like ERAM sounds redder. Same thing with Bat-Tat. I know people call it Batat, but it's like I think Bat-Tat sounds funnier. From everything we've seen, it seems like friend is one specific thing, especially like the Tail of Hell. It seems like a specific thing. Maybe like friend is a specific type of a different kind of monster, where it's like maybe like the normal friends that show up in the ERAM boss fight.
the friendlings.
I also think it's like,
Yeah, these are the friendlings, and this is Big Boy Friend, which is the Tail of Hell. It's gonna be weird whenever we find out what it's actually called, because assumedly it's not actually friend. Again, it's just called friend in the files, where it's like because I also
Just
this is my.
I wouldn't mind that because I feel like I'm so used to it.
Sound like like, this is my friend Mike.
This is my mic friend.
Big shot, the world revolving. I guess if friend has a real name, okay, maybe it is just Mike if friend is Mike. But I feel like also Mike could also be a fake name. All right. So why is friend endogamy? Okay,
Alright.
but seriously though, why?
Yeah, this shit always throws me off.
What is
So-
endogamy? What is that?
He's
Endogamy is, again, you played Undertale recently.
Okay.
Endogamy is I guess I explain it here. So,
Oh,
friends.
that's the name of that.
That's
amalgamate?
the name of this amalgamate. It's
Oh,
endogamy.
Okay.
Okay, so
Alright.
Friend's design, as shown at the beginning of Chapter 3, looks very similar to Endogamy, an amalgamate in Undertale, which is a combination of some of the fallen down dog monsters who were injected in determination and accidentally melted together, which are characters we know are just dead in Deltarune, based off of the graves in Hometown. Seriously, why does Friend look like this? This has been something that has been... of all the things that we got shown in the recent chapters, this is something I feel like I just keep thinking about because I feel like it is so hard for me to parse what is the connection here? Now, perhaps I have a few ideas about why this could be the case, but they're a little abstract. So perhaps this in general could be a representation of determination and / or darkness. Now walk with me here on this one. So we know that Alphys made the determination extractor using blueprints assumedly left by Gaster. So maybe the DT extractor had something to do with Gaster's darkness experience, which we know he was doing something experimenting with darkness based off of entry 17, darker, photon readings negative, stuff like that. So maybe the DT extractor had something to do with those experiments, or its original purpose had something to do with those experiments, and by proxy, and then Alphys repurposed it for the DT extractor, and by proxy, getting the amalgamates tangled into whatever darkness stuff Gaster was doing. So again, the connection between why these would look similar is because they were, again, it was something to messing with darkness. Got messed with the amalgamates as well. Which also would connect considering that determination, as it's shown in Deltarune, is needed to make a Dark World. You need determination to do that. Which again would track between all these. And we know other of Gaster's creations, like the core, are either powered from or repurposed by his darkness experiments. Now, I don't know if you guys know this. These objects in the core, in the files, are called darkness totems. Which, again, this is connecting Gaster to darkness and doing experiments with that, again, all the way back in Undertale, even apart from Entry 17. So, again, again, maybe again, like his determination experiences were actually darkness experience purpose from Alfie's, or the other way around. It doesn't matter how, but it's just like, what I'm basically saying is some vague Gaster connection is why. And again, the shape of the dog amalgamate isn't even exclusive to it in general, because we also see a very similar shape in other amalgamates, like the Reaper bird here. As you can see, these two sides have the same sort of shape as the dog amalgamate, which is the same as the friend one. So yeah, I think, again, maybe the shape of the dog amalgamate is more of a vague thing than what it initially seemed like. And again, it has something to do with darkness. Again, I feel like a lot of people would get upset when your explanation for a theory is it has something to do with Gaster and not much else, but like, this is the only thread I feel like I can really pull from, where it's like, okay, amalgamates has something to do with the DT extractor, which has something to do with Gaster, and friend has something to do with Gaster. So that's what the through line is of why these would even look similar in the first place. Like, I think that tracks. Okay, so now I have more.
Fuck is that?
I feel so sick.
I have more posturing about this here, so I'm just going to go through it. So again, like I said, maybe this the form of whatever Endogeny is in specific has more to do with darkness in a broader sense, which is why friend also takes that shape. And again, just tangentially related, the like ERAM, or the Shadow Mantra Holder, because we don't know the name's ERAM. The shape is sort of seen in one of the amalgamates as well. Again, this sort of shape inside of the overworld sprite of this amalgamate kind of looks like the mantle. It's not exactly the same, but I think it's similar enough to be at least something to, put on the corkboard. And again, considering, again, it seems friend is tangled up with all this amalgamate stuff, and we know that ERAM is tied to friend, I wouldn't be surprised if there's a connection here.
Wait, the amalgamate thing, that's from Undertale, right?
Yeah, that's from Undertale.
Yeah, no, that's like one of those things, like, you don't just like, oh, they look the same, my bad. Like, Toby Fox, I know what you're fucking doing, bro.
Yeah.
You think you're slick?
And then also, I want to point out here, Night, the enemy in Undertale, head also kind of looks like the mantle holder. That has nothing to do with what we're talking about here, but I just wanted to point it out, because, Night and ERAM, like Night, like the Night in
It has
Delta.
everything. So what?
Well, and then also,
what ERAM actually is Night shoving their head through the screen, and just moving around.
well, because also ERAM is an anagram for mare, M-A-R-E. So Night and mare.
Wait, Mare.
Get the fuck out.
ERAM is a horse.
Nightmare.
I'm Nightmare Freddy. Oh yeah, something else to consider is this line from Noelle that she says in the recent chapters, mentioning that she has a file in cat petters with like 7 headless cats. So
like a friend inside me.
So this and the idea of Noelle accidentally making like glitchy pets with mods, which she mentions in the sweepstakes pages, could potentially lead to using the amalgamate design as essentially a visual shorthand to convey the idea of multiple things combined together. Like if we assume that's what friend is, if we assume friend are these headless cats that that Noelle has in cat petters, could be what that is, the headless cats combined together. And again, he's using the visual shorthand that Undertale fans would already know about the amalgamate being a bunch of things combined into one thing as a way of displaying that. But that seems kind of like a loaded thing to make essentially nothing more than a visual Easter egg. But I'm not sure, Tricky Tony, because it's like I feel like in Dogony the amalgamates are such a big, like, important thing to where if they were just used as a visual shorthand to convey an idea, that feels kind of like it seems significant that friend is connected to Endogeny. But yeah, basically those are my two ideas. That one, friend is just kind of the shape of it, and Endogeny is representation of darkness or determination in some way or form, and are connected in some way because of Gaster, or that friend looks like an amalgamate because they are literally an amalgamation of something.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the first time Noelle like crafted something, and
that's what I'm saying.
Because like,
Noelle need to get off the internet, bro. She's like responsible for half the game.
I think also it would be interesting because again, we already have like Susie being a kind of parallel for Undyne, being trained by Gerson and stuff like that. So it would kind of be interesting if Noelle making friend is kind of like a parallel to Alfie's, where Alfie's made the amalgamates.
Yeah, by the way, the whole time you were reading through this, I was just like focusing on the I feel so sick. I was like, why is Noelle here? Like, I didn't realize that was like a Noelle quote where she like mattered at all in the slide. I was like, oh, okay, it was just for.
But yeah, that's my best guesses about why friend is Endogeny. Do you guys have any ideas?
I don't fucking know, but there's definitely some connection. I do like the idea that there is some parallels between Noelle and Alfie's, with like making some freaky ass fucking creature, bro.
Yeah, like I think that makes enough sense. All right. So is friend a chair? Now,
yes, obviously, I was waiting for you to get to that shit.
I mean, okay, so friend In this
Fucking
cutscene,
man's a chair.
so friend in this cutscene is used almost as an example of like baseline how darkeners are formed based off of perception. Ralsei describes a chair turning into a monster. Again, this chair turning into darkness, which is then overlaid with friend. It could be interpreted, friend's form here is a darkener interpretation of what we see in the room. Considering the chair has a jacket like draped over it, making it sort of like an odd looking like conformed like shape instead of just like a chair. And also we have these two pieces pointing out of the chair, which like the leg of like a chair doesn't really typically look like that, but pointing up like this in a way where again in formless kind of like darkness, if you're looking at your perception of it, it can kind of look like ears, similar to friend. Again, so again, these two pieces pointing out with the jacket draped over it, turning into the ears, and the legs of the chair being four legs, turning into the several legs that we see on friend itself.
He's kind of chair shaped.
Yeah, and he's kind of chair shaped. So the idea that friend is like physically an embodiment of like a nightmare in general is also fairly prevalent within the fandom. So under this interpretation, this specific instance of friend could be a nightmare of Susie specifically, because we see, again, this is assumably Susie's room that we see in the flashback here. So yeah, could be a nightmare of Susie. Yeah, since it depicts a room where she thought the chair was a monster, because again, based on the shape of the chair and like what's going on with it, is similar to what we see as friend here. Friend being a coat chair darkener is almost entirely incongruent with literally everything else we've built up to this point. Everything we've built up to be true about friend up to this point is completely incongruent with this interpretation. So like, what do we even do with this? Because it does seem pretty specific that this is, again, like how Ralsei describes, like when something gets so dark, you start seeing it again, but in a warped way. That's what a darkener is, and it's based off of your perception. It does seem like this connects to this, which again, like I said, maybe this lends more credence to the idea that friend itself is an embodiment of something taking form out of darkness, like I was talking about with the endogeny and stuff like that. Again, what we talked about with the endogeny connection, where it's like friend is the baseline representation of something becoming darkener. So maybe this isn't friend's actual like specific shape. This is just like, oh, this darkener is represented by friend in this instance. And again, like friend is just a representation of darkness itself in some way. I don't know.
Yeah, it's gonna be one of those things like, why the fuck is Toby Fox putting friend everywhere, but it just turns out to be a chair in Susie's room?
Yeah. Yes.
He's an amalgamate. Can't he be like any shape? I don't want him to be a chair.
I mean, I don't want him to be a
That's the
chair.
only reason why I'm saying that.
Yeah,
When you do click on the chair, there is a friend jump scare.
Is friend
No,
Jorkington?
he's fucking not. Oh shit, maybe he is.
More to come soon.
That's
So friend and Sean.
that's it.
That was the lost episode. All right, so
I don't like that Super Mario 64 thing.
So-
horrifying.
friend and Sham, they in fact are both cats.
Yes.
Now we know that giving the shadow crystals to Sham, we're giving the shadow crystals to Sham so that they can make something for us, which is likely being an item in the files called the Pure Crystal. The item description of this reads: the shadow purified by the cat. Sham is in fact a cat, but why so vague, Tony? Why won't you tell us which cat, Tony? So I have seen some theories saying that Sham is friend, or that they are essentially two halves of the same being, and that at some point friend will enter inside Sham and control them, becoming the friend inside them. I believe the evidence for this theory is mostly hype moments and aura, but I would take any and all Sham relevance I can get. So it's a pretty cool, because I just think they're really cool.
I feel like anytime there's a Sham there, I was like, but there was that time Toby Fox didn't have a body design for Sham.
That is I have the image here. Yeah, so notably, Sham, they didn't have concept art until they made the plushie, like Toby. So if Sham was gonna have any relevance whatsoever,
What if it's a red hair?
I took all the Sean.
Yeah, Toby was like, I'm gonna
and eated it.
please don't. Also, their shop kind of has yellow and pink eyes, and they have the sort of yellow and pink like things standing out here.
Yeah, bro.
That shit is like almost like pink burgundy mixed with like beige.
What?
bruh.
It's still pink and yellow to a degree.
Vaguely,
No.
it's.
I'll buy it. I'll buy it.
I'll believe
But we
it.
have very explicit examples of pink and yellow, bro. Like that one being
Yeah,
so completely different to all the other ones.
I think I was just trying to find whatever I can get, because I think like Sham and friend having a connection is something that's a pretty.
I just feel like that's possible though.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think it's like there just isn't. Again, it's mostly hype moments in Aura that they have any connection whatsoever, and also that they're both cats.
Yeah.
Chapter 6, we're gonna like go to like the like Sham shop, and then just like it's gonna be like walking into like a new store, and one like an old customer comes and they just dap up like the cashier, and it's just Friend. Yo, what's up, bro?
I think Friend and Sham connections, they're shaky, but I feel like it's an important thing to discuss just in case. Also, I have another point. Okay, I thought of this at like 2:13 a.m. while writing this. A drawing of Sham is seen made by Azrael on his computer, so like that is a connection to something digital, which you could argue is tangentially related to Friend. I don't really know what I was cooking here. I think I was trying to think of anything. I think it's like Cat Petters is connected to like digital stuff, and we know that there's a picture of Sham on Azrael's computer, and we know that there's a Cat Petters game, I think, on Azrael's computer. No, there's a Cat Petters game under Azrael's bed. I tried my best, but I think again, if I was trying to like look up as much as I could, see if there's any like Reddit posts talking about like anything I didn't have here about Friend and Sham connections, and I didnn't really see much. So I think that's where we're gonna leave Friend and Sham for now.
Man. You can influence the whole internet right now. You're the first.
So when you talk to Togor and Chester, they actually tell you.
Is there another gimmick slide, Anthony?
Yeah, right here.
So again, this was at like 2 in the morning when I made this like a little while ago. I'll just read what I said here. I don't want to make a slide about Woody Theory, even if it does tangentially relate to Friend because of Friend inside me and everything. Go watch Spooky Dude's videos or something. I don't know. If you're watching this, you probably already know about Friend inside me. Like, do I really gotta like? It's like the middle of the night, man, and I have like the flu or something yet again, which is the second time I had gotten it, like in like a row, like when I was writing this. Yet again, I got sick or something, or some health problem got in the way of a video, but like it's manageable enough for me this time where I can at least work on stuff unlike last time. But I draw the line here. You are not making me make a Woody Theory slide. Comment Belatro if Rudy, all kids like Giftron and Chester. Let's give them the old holiday special. It out, I'm playing with my balls like carpet.
Classic. That slide reminded me like the Swatch rant at the end of the Woody Theory.
Yeah, no, that's what I was thinking.
That was kind of what I was pulling on there. Okay, so Friend with a creepy smile.
About this, bro.
What?
I was like, as soon as we started, I was like, I wonder if we're gonna talk about this.
Yeah, God, there's a lot of text on this slide. Let me so.
It's like It's like JJK, bro.
In an unused room in Undertale, room 123, we get this dialogue referring to a friend behind us with a creepy smile. Can you do something about your friend? Yes, your friend, the one behind you with the creepy smile. It's not out of the question for these unused rooms to maybe have something to do with or are playing with ideas that may be in Deltarune, as the redacted room, in my opinion, big text, seems to be a test for the Mystery Man room and displaying wingdings in general in the Undertale font. Both of these relating to Gaster and therefore Deltarune at large. Again, the redacted room is just this room where there's this weird looking test sprite that has text and wingdings. Unrelated tangent. If you think Redacted is Gaster, I hate you personally. Gaster speaks in uppercase wingdings exclusively, and Redacted speaks in lowercase, as we see here. As well, to get to the Redacted room, you need to bypass dog check, which is this image. Whenever you try and get to somewhere that's not you're not supposed to get to in anything Undertale or Deltarune, it's an image of this dog playing a silly little song. And so to get to the Redacted room, you have to bypass dog check, which I see as a sign that it is something that is not relevant or canon to the game's world, and is something that shouldn't or don't need to be looked at. Just actual test stuff. I imagine dog check is literally Toby's only way of being like, not literally everything means something, you don't have to worry about this. Yeah, I just want to put that rant here because I feel like a lot of people are like, oh, Mystery Man can't be Gaster. Actually, Redacted is more likely to be Gaster because it's the only person we see with text that speaks in wingdings. Again, fake fan. Lowercase wingdings, not uppercase wingdings. We know Gaster is one of the... other than, like, Gaster will sometimes not even talk in wingdings, just in capitalized letters, and we know it's him. So I think this is a pretty indicator that it's not him. And I think, again...
If it is him, it's probably like an early version.
That's what I'm saying. I feel like it's test for stuff relating to Gaster.
It's another him.
Holy shit!
Say that again. But yeah, I just wanted to put this because I feel like Redacted is something that, again, there are specific things that... okay, actually, I'll say here. So, like, actually related, room 123 is one of the only secret rooms in the game not dog-checked. The only other room, to my knowledge, being the room you see entry 17. So all the other unused rooms in the game, you cannot access. You can only access them through passing by dog check, which again is the internal checker of like, okay, this is actual test stuff.
Yeah.
So the only unused stuff that you can access are entry 17, which is obviously something he wants us to see, and this creepy friend smile room, which means that those two are stuff that tobyfox do want us to see when looking through the files of the game. because otherwise they would also be dog checked.
Can you do something about your friend? Yeah, your friend playing with his balls like carpet.
Oh, Rudy.
Comment Bellatrix. Give Tron and
But I can't kidnap his wife. We're not doing this again.
There's a weird route video for that.
Our favorite video.
someone left a comment on that video today saying this might be the funniest video on the internet, which I appreciate. Like we said, again, this room seems to be in the same league as Gaster stuff. So assuming, and this is something that tobyfox is okay with us seeing from the files of the game, which means I think it might be relevant in some way. And again, I think it might be relevant to stuff that might have to do with Deltarune, considering, again, the redacted test room and other test room stuff seems to be stuff to do with Deltarune. And we actually are also given an extended version of this interaction by Toby in the 10th anniversary live stream, which again, we watched on the channel. If you want to see our reaction to that, go check that out. Card and above. What's it called? So this is, okay, so I'll just read the extended interaction we have here. So, I'm catching bugs, but there aren't many in the underground. I keep catching the same one. A small bug keeps walking into the girl's net. It's trying its best. You seem really reckless. Undyne would probably like you. Can you do something about your friend? Yes, your friend, the one right behind you with the creepy smile. Never mind, seems like he left. Which I just want to establish here, if this creepy smile is friend, this is our only indication of a pronoun for friend, which is he. So that's our best guess. I remember someone talking about, I think it was something to do with like the princess ribbon, which you get in the Tale of Hell room. And you know the like tweet where it's like, I never considered Dr. Pepper could be a girl. Am I a bad person? Someone's like saying, it's like, I never considered Image Friend could be a girl. Am I a bad person? But okay, but that's not the important part of this. So
Yes, it is.
maybe.
Next slide.
Yes, we get that's the extended version of this test room, and this was the last thing Toby showed on the stream of like all the prototype test stuff that he gave us. You know, got to see Azrael's bad, all that fun stuff. This is the last thing Toby showed on the 10th anniversary live stream, and also one of the fan gamer dads after reading it go like, I don't know what that's talking about, in a very like suspect way, and then Toby goes, cool story, bro. Like after that, which I also find notable because after when they played chapter 1 for the whatever, I think it might have been the 6th anniversary, whenever chapter 2 came out, when they played chapter 1 for that Undertale anniversary, when King's mantle flew off, he said cool mantle, bro, which I think just like the similar wording, especially if we do think that the shadow mantle was the mantle King's wearing. But I think even more than that, it is if you go back and watch how the fan, cool story, bro, the way the fan gamer dad was like, well, I don't know what that's about. Because we know that these fan gamer guys probably at least have some inclination of stuff going on in Deltarune. I feel like he had to have at least known that there was something more to this one, because I feel like he wouldn't have given that reaction otherwise. So, considering the matching description, again, you know, a friend specifically with a creepy smile, could this unused room be referring to friend? I think the fact that this is the last thing given by Toby in the 10th anniversary stream and relates back to this text. The last thing he's given relates back to this text, as well as putting along something as lore important as Entry 17, as an inaccessible room, not dog checked. It seems to me it may be something that Toby wants us to look at more. Again, otherwise, I think why else call attention to it at the end of the 10th anniversary live stream? So, at first, I think, again, this was on the friend slide in our very first video, and I was like, is he an Undertale? I think probably not. This feels kind of like a little too vague. But
Yeah, no, it could just be Flowery or something.
That's also nothing. It could definitely be talking about Flowey, especially because we know Flowey is following us throughout Undertale, like behind us, like when you go backwards and pops down. But I think, again, due to the increased relevance and the association with Gaster stuff in the unused room, I'm kind of more inclined to think that, yeah, this does actually have something to do with Friend. Maybe not specifically, maybe it's just like a hint like towards it, but yeah, I don't know. So... It's what you've all been waiting for. This is actually something that a lot of people have commented about a bunch. Again, I think when we did the first poll, I was like, do you want to see these theories? Which is the theory that Jorkington and also Catti too.
I was actually going to mention that Catti might like be part of some like friend stuff at some point.
Jorkington.
The pointed tail.
So, okay. Sure. Okay, so Jorkington is a snake, which has a pointed tail. Snakes have pointed tails, which could take crawl.
I thought they slither. Next slide.
I guess, yeah, snakes don't crawl.
No, they don't.
Pointed
What about
out.
Solid Snake?
He does crawl.
Oh.
All right, continue the
Yeah.
slide. Continue the slide.
I will say that like the whole take and crawl, like, you know, cats do kind of crawl, so that's something that maybe I should have pointed out in the friend is a cat slider. Also, another thing is that I didn't mention it before, but the unused code. Actually, I should have talked about this in the Gaster slide. The unused code talks about hearing scratching, which again,
I think
scratching.
you mentioned that in one of the other videos.
I did, so it probably would have been relevant to bring up, but it's not too big a deal. Yeah, so let's talk about more. Again, Chichi, I don't know if you know this, but this was like a big thing in the fandom for a little bit, where a lot of people were really convinced that Friend was gonna be, or no, Jorkington was gonna be Friend. So
How?
Temmie,
Could be.
We're
Temmie-
working on it.
Temmie, I'm scarier than Gaster Chang once tweeted,
Yeah.
a cat's tail is like a snake in disguise.
Mm.
What the fuck? Why is she saying that?
Tricky Temmie, that's why she's saying it. Yeah, does this mean that Jorkington is the tail of hell and maybe also Friend?
Yes.
Yes, that's what I said. More likely is that Jorkington might become a goner.
Nah.
I'm so sad.
Don't say
I'm gonna do a
that.
funny voice anymore.
Don't say that, bro.
So evidence includes he is named specifically in the prophecy.
Prophecy.
What?
It says prophecy.
In the prophecy. Sorry, I need to. Actually, wait, I remember I misspelled this and I was like, I'm leaving that one in. And it seems to and Jorkington seems to have forbidden knowledge of it. Parentheses, become that dunk. So Jorkington in chapter, I think 4, when you talk to him, talks about how life is like a big basketball game and you need to be the basketball. And then Jorkington says to try to be that dunk, which at the end of chapter 4, Susie dunks you into the Titan to, or dunks Chris into the Titan to,
Prime Michael Jordan.
yeah, seal it. Which some people interpret as Jorkington knowing about the prophecy because he's in the prophecy and he knew that this was going to happen. His speech is also slowly degrading each chapter, like the bird, who we know becomes a goner. Again, we know that this bird has slowly been making less and less sense to the point where in the most recent chapter, they just keep going, wait, don't, and saying nothing else, which are people like, wait, don't? What's the initials of that? WD.
Oh, shit!
That's fucking
That one
scary.
actually, like, that's like a genuine reaction from me.
I mean, yeah, I like,
Scary.
and I think also like, so, and like as Jorkington does, like his speech has always been like, again, like try, comma, space to be that dunk. His dialogue, if you actually read it, is kind of nonsense, and it does slowly seem to be getting worse. Which, if that's an something to do with goners,
He's
could
chopped.
it could be. And then also, his color has been slowly desaturating each chapter. This was him in chapter 2, and this is him in chapter 4, which are all, it's hard to see on the screen, but it is a slightly duller shade
That feels a
of
little skip,
Jorkington.
though. I can barely tell.
Parentheses, this one isn't even true.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, what? The-
See, this is actually something, when I was making the slide, I put in the slide, because I just assumed it's true. This image was passed around a lot on like Twitter and stuff like that. And then I looked into it first, was like, I feel like I would have noticed.
Yeah,
And then I was, like, looking into it,
Too schizo.
And then like someone like at some point did just come out and say like, yeah, I made this image. It's just a lie. Whereas like the thing is, I think I saw that and that would almost make me like fully prioritize doing the friend video and talk about Jorkington because like that's crazy. But like it's just not true. And I think if you ask most people if this is actually true who have seen it, they probably just will because everyone just kind of accepted it.
Imagine if that was true, though.
If that was true, then it's like, oh yeah, he's cooked. He's a goner. But I think yeah, I have a point here. It's like considering how widely discussed Jorkington being friend and / or a goner was at the time, I was kind of shocked how little there really is. Again, I think the only thing is that there is a sort of the pointed tail thing, but like I don't think it's that strong. And like, yeah, I think there just really isn't a lot of evidence for friend Jorkington, unfortunately.
Yeah, but it's because he's the knight.
That's true. I also have here, so Catti is a cat. Again, Catti Kattenheimer right here. Catti with an I, Kattenheimer. And she also is pink and yellow. She has the yellow earrings and yellow eyes and the pink strand of hair. She also tried summoning a demon with Chris. We have a dialogue about that, I think, in one of the chapters, which you could argue could be Friend, and is you could argue Friend is probably a demon, considering the connection with Hell, 666, all that stuff. Also, she was the one visiting Noelle on the /Rain page, which does eventually lead us to Friend. So she certainly could be important to / connected to Friend, but genuinely, what else would you like me to make of this at this juncture? Like, yeah, there are connections between Catti and Friend, but like, unlike a lot of the other stuff we talked about, what do we really make of that? You know, there's a lot of like rad animations like this.
That
Like,
shit is wicked,
it's
bro.
really
That shit's
cool.
and it becomes a tail slowly. Like, that's
Yeah, I also really love this one because it's like Jorkington grows the beard and then it turns into the tail, and that's awesome. Oh yeah, also there's one last like buzzer beater information that I found about friend equals Jorkington, which is this line that Susie has, where it's Jorkington fans, they're crazy, man. Which, if Friend is Spamton's benefactor, you could say he is a friend. He is a fan of Friend who does make Spamton go crazy. So you could say that Friend fans, they're crazy, man. But yeah, that's the last piece of Friend Jorkington
Dude,
information.
They hit the tree with it. It's always the funniest.
It's really good.
That's the funniest part of the video for me, bro.
On that note, we're done. That is all the information we have about image_friend at this juncture. And again, I think not to pat myself on the back, but I feel like I was pretty thorough in putting pretty much as much information as I possibly could. So yeah, we're pretty much done with all the information. Again, I feel like I said at the beginning, this is pretty much supposed to be just like a compendium of just all the information there is about Friend. So I hope this was useful. But I have some final conclusions apropos of nothing.
It's
talking about Asgore and Spamton.
Right.
So my final conclusion for this video that isn't necessarily related to a lot of the other stuff, but I will plant my flag right now. I'm going to say it. Friend will 100% be in Chapter 5. That is my one major prediction for this video. Since
I do feel that's true.
Yeah. So I have decided that I am completely certain of this prediction as of right this very moment, and you can hold me to it. I think, the field of pink and gold, I think the parallels Asgore has with Spamton, and how the color scheme of Flower King is covered in, and Asgore himself is covered in pink and gold. I think Friend will show up or be important in some capacity, probably in relation to Asgore making like a deal with it, similar to what happened with Spamton. Again, Spamton almost like foreshadowing whatever ends up happening with Asgore. And I also feel this way based on how things we assume will be late game have been appearing way earlier than we've been expecting. Again, the Knight we saw in Chapter 3. Titans we saw in Chapter 4. So I think it tracks that Friend, someone who many are looking at to be huge in the story, and again, could be like the final boss of the game, or just like something could be very like late game. First main appearance, or could be making its presence known in Chapter 5. I feel like that seems likely to me. Again, considering all the other connections between pink and gold and Chapter 5, that is my final prediction. Okay, but that is the actual last slide. But as we know, that isn't the end of the video because we have to do the Patreon shoutouts again. So again, all you lovely people at home, or maybe potentially in the room with us, decided to give us money, and I could not be more grateful. And so this is our Patreons. We have our average students, and then in the tier for honor students, we have Toby.
Why don't we start from last to first? I feel like we always start first to last.
Yeah, we can start last to first. So we have. It's gonna be weird. I'm so used to. So Baskin, Shep Kish, Dev Guy, Feder, Nick, Kaito Noir, Toast 1612, Avast Antivirus, Silvix. Like and subscribe. That's a good idea.
Yep.
Jortsmaster, Lundcraft, Dusty Plush, Rocco _, Admin Access, Easier Name Than John Luca, Cat on Mars, Spicy Bloke, Riley Swab, Semantic Pedantic, Chaos Beam, Dick Chocolate, and Toby Tricky Fox.
Yay!
And then now, so in the Overachievers tier, we have Daniez, Adam Sandler, Colta-Cola, Rat Avenue, and Blender Fucker.
Yeah!
Now, in the Overachiever Plus tier, the $19.97...
Yo, Chichi, can you read this one?
In the,
We have Greg.
no, because we have to say his name for it. And
Yeah,
that's,
say it.
he shouldn't have to pay to say his own
I didn't
name.
pay for that.
You might like put your hands and like, all right.
It's all very subtle foreshadow. So yeah, in the Overachiever Plus, the $19.97, the Spamton number tier, we have Jesus, Will-O-Wispy, and Chi-Chi. That name sounds familiar. I wonder who could have done that.
Chi-Chi Theory.
Zoom into his face and like put a filter to make him look really ugly. And his like face is like drooping down. His like one eye's on his forehead. Like
Bro,
make it an amalgamate.
No, don't even say that thing's name, bro. Cut that out too.
I was thinking more on the vein of like the Corey image from Only Plays. Immediate Chi-Chi. And then last, but certainly not least, we have our two beautiful members in the Teacher's Pet tier. spending an unspeakable amount of money on our silly little channel. Now, Joshua.
What's that? Fix you!
I was gonna ask you who drew that. That's really cool.
That
Well,
was
That's
him.
really cool.
I drew that actually.
I mentioned that in the
I forgot who
beginning.
drew
I was like, yo, that guy
That's
was
awesome.
Again, I used this in the what's it called, the original like Spam for Sweet 6 friend video. This image was actually drawn by me, and if you want art that is similar in any way to this, I guess, or other art that I've made, I do have a Ko-Fi page where you can commission stuff. But yeah, so
Intro time.
that is the end of the Image Friend Compendium. Thank you guys for watching, and thank you to my guys on the couch, as always, showing up. Well, I say as always because there's someone not here. But again, thank you, Chi-Chi, for joining us today. It was fun having you. Again, do you guys have any last minute stuff you want to say about Image Friend here?
He's funny looking.
He is funny looking.
If friend is a chair, I'm gonna be mad.
If that's it, if that friend was
he's
just a
fucking reclining chair, I'm gonna be pissed. I'm gonna be like, dude.
Should we have like a
Anything
comment
else?
something if you made it this far?
comment.
Comment, Josh.
Comment balls like carpet. If you made it this far.
Sure, comment balls like carpet,
Comment.
Balls like.
and put an exclamation point if you know what we're referencing. If you don't know what you're referencing, you can only put the first part of it.
There's rules to this shit.
There's a
man.
rule-
All the slamming shorties in the house say yeah. Kill him with the fox devil.
Chi-Chi, say a funny joke to end the video.